Hey, Calvin and friends. I'm very visual as well, so I wanted to share some thoughts about what Calvin put together on my whiteboard application thing. So, first of all, I like the topic avatar kind of way to connect people around free community and then moving people to be more results oriented. Being a bit pedantic as an engineer, I would make this like B to C, and then you also had your inner circle, which I really like. And I think that's even like a C to D. You're taking people deeper into farther places as you also have higher capacity to pay within that group. And if your results are linked to finances in any way, it becomes easier and easier to sell at a higher price. At least that's what I believe. I haven't actually done it myself. So what I wanted to do in this quick video was share a couple ways that I'm approaching the same methodology. But before that, how I did a different approach and completely failed and went broke in Tokyo. And then what I'm trying to do is I build as I also learn about community leadership in this group. So for me, the way that I tried to launch Skool, so this is like round one and fail. I have a community that helps engineers, global leaders, and entrepreneurs find their way. So I started with a wait list. Well, actually, before that, I started with an organic community of about 40K across TikTok and YouTube. YouTube. And then that's a T. And then I funneled them down into a wait list that I wrote copy before. And the results I was trying to get people were helping them learn from my exit story at Johnson & Johnson. I had a very challenging exit after a decade-long career with J&J that left our family kind of displaced in Tokyo, but at the same time, it was a very powerful moment for me to leave the corporate space in order to provide my family stability in Japan because we relocated 12 times to get there. So the whole value prop is to empower people to recognize when they're kind of stuck in a role that's not serving them so they can find a job at a 30% pay increase, loving what they do and living where they want to be. So that was kind of the value prop, maybe my A to B results that you're talking about in a paid community. And then from a wait list, I made like targeted offers, and then sent people the link to join, and then no sales. So I had a lot of issues with a purely paid model on the platform. I also had some lead time issues with our burn rate in Japan, which led to a relocation to Chicago. So part of my business model was rushed. But the other thing is a lot of members of my organic community weren't ready to not only pay me and work with me to get the results that I thought I could deliver. I was light on testimonials because I hadn't had anyone join yet. So I had my personal proof and my story in the classes I was putting together, but I couldn't show what a community felt like. And then the other piece of it was Skool is a very foreign context to people that hang out on Instagram all day or TikTok, even though I'm inundated with it because I've been watching Horzomi for a long time, or Hormozy. So I found the jump from organic into Skool was too substantial for the majority of my audience, and it made this whole targeted offer conversation, DMing, trying to close cycle very time consuming, with a lot of people saying like, oh yeah, I would totally commit to that, and then when they get to the point of sale, they back out. So what I'm doing instead, which is very similar to what you've laid out with a slight modification, if I were to lay it out again, hopefully this is helpful, friends. So we have free, paid, and I have questions here. I also liked that you talked about when you get the A to B, you have a churn moment here. You have churn either out of your ecosystem, or you can increase your lifetime value by churning them into another paid community. That's really neat. I'm thinking in that space, but haven't figured out my model fully. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to bring the A to B results into the free community. So rather than having my community focused around a topic or me as an avatar, give away the first course of like how to say goodbye, how to transition out of a job, and how to land a new one, and get people the results, the testimonials, the goodwill, grow this community. So I'm still going to drive organic traffic to the free community. But then for the paid community, I want to do the B to C, which is taking a very small group of people much farther. So in the beginning, I do see this as an inner circle. So for the free community, I'm going to proceduralize a lot of the courses, the onboarding process for how the community interacts. I'll still be present with live calls, but I want to be intentional with how much one-on-one I give away in this space for free. Whereas this is like one-on-one with the Pretentious Engineer, which is my digital brand, with the Pretentious Engineer. This one is more like the Big Brain Club. So this is collecting a very large group of people, and you have a large group doesn't have the capacity to pay because they're in college, but then you also have engineers and global leaders that are earning and have inputs to give back to the group. So I want to make the free community very valuable based on the people that are in it, but also the mindset I train people up in so that they can get this initial results. And I guess their initial like their KPI would be a new job, but then I have a depth of insight beyond just getting a job. So let's say they took a jump from senior engineer into senior manager, or possibly a crazy jump like into directing a group. Do they know how to direct, right? Like they have to find that sense of self. So like for the paid group, I plan on doing a 6-month wait list, and then using like a cohort model, which is similar to how I studied in grad school. So for this approach, I would only accept 12 people at $9.99 a month, and I want to take them on a 6-month journey from B to C. So this means actually rolling out more targeted or personalized courses that I could then sell in the free community if people want it, but also giving them a weekly or bi-weekly one-on-one to really journey with them. And when I think about the churn, right, they go through this 6-month journey with me. What's the point of staying? Because if I bring in another cohort of 12 people, or if I scale my team so I could do 40 people on the next cohort, I think for me, the result I want to give them is the ability to stay tied into this growing ecosystem where they're not going to get one-on-ones with me the same way anymore, because they shouldn't need it after getting the results over 6 months. But when they're tied into a larger community that's achieving and growing in this kind of like entrepreneurial global leadership space, I think you would have people stay because of the results they got and wanting to help coax people along, even if they lose the one-on-one with me in the next group. So I haven't figured out what this transition looks like, but I like how you've laid out your progression. So this is kind of my strategy. And then every 6 months, rolling out another wait list that I broadcast into the free group. So part of my onboarding, after they've started to get some results, maybe within the first 3 months of them being there, or maybe 2 months, making them aware of the wait list of, if you want to take things deeper, this is where it happens. But I don't want to immediately sell people into the paid. I want to sell them into the wait list, so that I can be selective with who actually gets to cross the threshold, which will build a perception of quality and kind of a supply-demand tension. So that's my whole business model in 8 minutes. It's very similar to what you're doing, but I'm putting more of a squeeze on who can get into paid and scaling it slowly in batches. And I want to do a lot of the community development, like all my community development, dev, I want it in the free space. So it's a way of onboarding people into how things happen in paid, so that we could just focus on giving them their personal B to C, whatever that looks like. Like I want to have a better work-life integration. I want to be able to lead a larger team. I want to navigate global siloed organizations, which is where I'm very deep in my capabilities. Like the B to C, I want to be the pure focus. The retention after they obtain C is where the community continues to give back, I think. So lots I'm figuring out, but I'd be happy to hear your thoughts. And Calvin, I appreciate what you laid out, because it's been a great model for me as I've pivoted. I think I pivoted from pure paid to free to paid based on a conversation you had on a podcast, because I resisted it for about 4 months, even though this business model was not failing, or was failing. So anyway, Thanks, friends. Appreciate it. See you on the next one.